2-game for SBTC against Team Wales, and now the tension just rises up that little bit more your way. A potential final game. SBTC might be locking in themselves a spot in the upper bracket finals against GARM next weekend.
What are we doing over here? Wait,
We're dancing.
why did he get one gold there?
Wait, who got a gold?
Nagia just got +1 gold. Why? Huh?
What?
That was so confusing. They just stared at each other and Nagia earned some gold. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Well, because they were dancing and Nagia won the dance wars, so Nagia got a gold for it. I think that's fair.
Yeah. Well, Nagia back on Jax. He's been having a really rough series, first playoffs for him, and he's not living up to the hype that especially I put him after that amazing regular season. Nagia needs to get back to his form from last week, because Anper had his number last game, but he's now on the Jax, and Jax Nagia has been a pairing that's almost like the old coated Jax. So I think if anything, it's this champion that's going to bring him back.
Well, we thought the Malphite would be good fit, now being engaged on a lot of damage, forced to flash away, and now B left in a 1v2, just going to take a lot of damage from both Slader and Palette, who once again come out on top against the Team Wales bottom lane duo.
Yeah, and we're back with Vit Jinx, which I really like to see, but this lane phase is going to be rough because it's Lulu into Thresh. That's always going to be a very, very hard matchup for the Thresh to play. And then also Varus is going to be much stronger than Jinx, especially in the early passages of the laning phase. So I feel like Team Wales' bot lane is firmly on the back foot now, which can also impact how the rest of the team plays, and we might be back to some of the first game performance where they played very slowly, very conservatively, but instead it's Killer Queen with the first gank in top lane. Good flash from Anper to get away from the stun.
No Counter-Strike will land. Killer Queen can a flash engage, and in he goes with the Arctic Assault. Can they get the CC? Yes, they can. And Killer Queen bounces back from game 3.
Just in 3 minutes, Killer Queen has already played a better game than in game number 3. But to be fair, it wasn't hard, but really good start on a more team-oriented champion. We saw the Sejuani. There was a lot of talk about Sejuani against Wukong, and if Killer Queen can make the Sejuani work, that's going to be a whole nother consideration for the next draft, for game number 5 potentially. But bringing Nagia ahead is exactly what you want to see after his struggles in game number 3, I should say.
So, your way, fun factoid time. Sejuani, Killer Queen, how many games, how many wins?
I mean, I could check, but
you could check, but that defeat the purpose of the game.
I think, if I remember correctly, it's 4, maybe 4 or 7. One of the two had 4, I believe. So I'll say 4, and he won 3 games.
He's had 2 games of Sejuani, both this split and over his entire career, and he has never won a game on the champion.
Oh, okay. But it's a new stage. It's playoffs again. He has been in playoffs once before. Very different jungle meta back then. The ego time. And maybe it's his time to shine on the tank this time around. We have to say this. Sejuani against Maokai is a matchup we've seen quite a bit of, especially last week in that tiebreaker. And most of the time, the Sejuani actually got to a great early start, like she did right in this game. And then Maokai was much, much more impactful in the team fights. So if we go by the evidence we saw last week, when these two teams played against each other, and Killer Queen was actually on the Maokai side of things, the Maokai is kind of gonna, I don't want to say outscale, but be a little bit better in team fights compared to the Sejuani.
We'll see whether that prophecy comes through. Also, a quick shout out to Brackish Brit, because he has told us exactly how Nagia got that 1 goal. Apparently, Jax has a mini game where he can go fishing in the river, and then he gets a goal from that. So apparently, yeah, that's if Nagia wins this lane, you know why. Fishing mini game broken.
Yep. That's just unfair. Like, he just got a gold, and Anper stared at him and was like, I thought we were just dancing, but you were fishing on the side? And, however, I'm not entirely sure how Jax managed to do that, but just multitasker over in the top lane. Now, Nagia, is he fancying a 1v2? No, he just wants to interrupt Anper's back, and that's pretty good from Nagia. Now, this pink ward could be a bit of a bait, but I like Nagia chasing for Enper because his lane is frozen right outside his turret range, I believe, so he has a free reset as well. And this top lane, while he is pretty far behind in CS, he should be able to catch up in no time.
And in the end, Emperor doesn't actually back it out. Killer Queen is making
the
Emperor gone too far forward. Does not have a flash available. Can't get out of the counter-strike this time. And this time, the kill's given over to Nagia.
Oh, I can't even blame Enper for anything there. That was such an elaborate bait from the side of Nagia. What an amazing play. That was some of the best theater performance, I guess, or like play and putting on a play from a pro player I've seen in a very long while. He just acted as if he was recalling, as if he was just chasing to get the better recall, and just walked back through the bushes out of nowhere. Enper had absolutely no idea what was happening to him, and now this Jax with a kill and an assist is off to an amazing start.
What did I tell you, Yulwei? Killer Queen's no longer a psychopath, he's a sociopath. And the big brain plays coming through from Killer Queen and Nagia. 2 deaths onto Emperor in the opening 7 minutes. Drake, though, has been secured by DNK. Killer Queen a little bit late to the party, forces DNK to flash over the wall. But Team Wells will be happy with their start to this game nonetheless.
That could have almost been disastrous. If they lose the dragon there, they lose everything across the whole map, because they kind of disengaged a bit too early. If the dragon came down to a flip, unfortunately Killer Queen not quite able to land the smite there. I'm not sure if he had the smite available. Looking at his cooldown, probably not. So a little fortuitous for the side of SBTC that they got away with that sloppy macro play. In the end, they pick up the first dragon, but top lane is a little bit of an issue this time around for the side of SBTC.
And I want to take this opportunity, this little lull state, to talk a little bit about maybe mental, maybe about kind of preparation, pressure playing in playoffs, particularly for a few players. Looking towards Nagia, his first ever playoffs. You look towards the likes of Emperor, Killer Queen, their second ever playoffs. And there is a big difference between your first time playing at a stage versus your second time, because there's a little bit less pressure. And I even think about, when you're playing in solo queue, the first time you make it into promos for reaching gold or platinum, whatever it is, there's so much more pressure on you the first time. And then the second time you do it, it's like, this is easy. I've been here before.
Yeah, of course. It's always a new environment, a new stage, even though they play on the same exact seats, and it shouldn't be all that different. They played this team last week. It's a best of 5. It's not for their lives, of course, because we have double elimination, but the chance to play against GAM and not have to go down and play against Cerberus tomorrow is such a huge difference. It's a brutal schedule, especially for the losing teams, because they have to face off against each other tomorrow again. So, yeah, this is a very important series, but here we have one of the crucial moments of the game, Rift Herald Skirmish.
We've seen big fights over Rift Herald. DNK will throw out the Nature's Grasp, and it will just force Team Wales to back away. So, unlike what we saw in Game 1 and Game 2, this time SBTC getting the first Drake and the first Rift Herald as well.
Yeah, a good start in terms of objectives, and it's so confusing to see this happening because it's really Team Wales that usually go for the early Rift Herald. 70% Rift Herald percentage, by far the highest. Oh, Slater 1 HP!
Slater baited that beautiful flash out of the engage. He knew DNK was coming, and he says, thank you very much for the kill.
Nagia had flash too. He could have tried to flash after him. But I think
Slater buffered the Chains of Corruption, so he actually threw out the ult and predicted Nagia's jump.
Oh, that's beautiful. Let's see this again. Nagia is so scary with the ultimate activation. And he does see DNK actually, but thinks he has the ultimate, has the damage to at least trade 1-for-1. Nagia overstepping, getting an early advantage, and he wants to, of course, stand up for his team. He knows he kind of cost his team a few advantages in the last few games and let them down. Now he wants to make up for it, and he kind of overcompensates. Another thing that points towards jitters and a little bit of a rookie mentality, so hopefully Nagia can recover from this one.
I'm trying to think back to the previous playoffs for Killer Queen and Glory, back where they were playing for Luxury in the 2021 Winter Playoffs. I believe they played against Burst the Sky, or they lost their first round of the playoffs, then beat Burst the Sky in the third place playoffs game. So Killer Queen and Glory have seen some success at playoffs.
Remember that Glory and Killer Queen didn't play together back then, right?
Oh yeah, wait, Glory was the Burst
against. Yeah, Glory was on Burst the Sky, so...
It was Blazes who was mid lane, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They teamed
Best
up
jungle.
together because both of them were kind of the star players of their teams, and now they are on this really hyped squad together. Killer Queen, his favorite spot on the map, enemy red buff, he's here again.
Very quick trade onto DNK. He can't quite stack up the passive.
Risky.
Under tower goes Emperor. Nagia able to sidestep the Entofo strikes. Can't sidestep that one. And Nagia is going to be forced to back away as a Super Mega Death Rocket from downtown, but not enough damage to pose any real threat to Emperor.
And I feel like that's once again pointing towards Nagia being not quite as confident as he was a few weeks ago, or even just last week in the regular season, because I do think there was an opportunity to kill him there under tower. With the tower shot, with Jax having a lot of very upfront burst damage, it's not easy for Emperor in that situation to sustain using all his ultimate, what's it called, like lifesteal. So I feel like there was actually maybe lethal for Nagia, but he didn't go for it. He just played it safe and didn't go for the solo kill. That gives SBTC the opportunity to strike on the other side of the map, and easy 2 platings into the pockets of Slader and DNK.
And Slader's going to be very far ahead. He's got a 10 CS lead, has a couple of plates as well. And, I mean, there's not going to be a huge amount of goal, but the goal between the two teams about 500 as Engage comes through from Killer Queen, and Vit is just free firing on the Jinx. Now excited, looking towards the DNK. The Permafrost comes through, but DNK just about able to flash over the wall in time.
Ooh, the double kill would have been huge. Oh, he gets it!
There he goes downtown.
I'm feeling game number 5. This is very reminiscent of that first performance. Vit off to a great start, assisted by his jungler and support, and now he's gonna be accelerated. He's gonna be a strong Jinx for the team fights. They will also hold the Dragon Snowball, getting 1 back for the team. And now look at the gold lead. Team Wales has found another breath of fresh air, I guess.
Oh, I thought it was going to be a death sentence straight onto the flame chompers, but good cleanse. And
yes, despite what was good.
Just trying to think if there was any way they could have got the kill onto DNK earlier, and I don't really think they could have. I don't think Vit had a flash to get over the wall and chase, but lands the Super Mega Death Rocket nonetheless.
Boink. It looks so funny in slow motion, the way it moves across the map. But yeah, actually, Slater played it as well as he could. He dodged almost everything there, but just a bit too much pressure, a little too much CC between those champions. B landing the hook into Killer Queen, collapsing instantly. And this 2-0 Jinx, all eyes on Vit now. He carried game number 1 in team fights. Can he do it again and bring his team to game number 5?
Emperor, I think, dashing in, trying to get a trade onto Nagia. Has a lot less health than Nagia, but still more than happy to take these trades against the Jax and Emperor. We've seen over the course of this split, right, your way, he's so proficient on the K'Sante, and even if it doesn't have the highest of win rates, would probably say he's the best K'Sante in the league, maybe Kiaya ahead of him.
I think Nagia is better, personally, but that's regular season. But of course, all these traits, I feel like Nagia is not playing these traits as he would if this was just a regular season game, because that Jax did not look like he could lose the traits, especially with the Sheen already. Okay, he doesn't have the Mythic, but still, it feels like Nagia is playing super scared now in lane, which, I mean, the Jax is gonna scale, but after that much early investment and a kill early on the Jax with such a creative way to set it up, he is a bit of a scary situation for Dia1. He does dodge on.
Dia1 has flash, decides against using it, just plays it really well with a phase rush movement speed.
Yeah, really. This time he didn't just run into the corners of the sun there, the edges of Glory's E. Instead, he just walked around, chilled, and then walked back to his tower, because Veigar can't really deal all that much damage in one go. He needs a little bit more time to scale to really pose a big threat to this Ryze. And the Ryze is something we haven't talked about at all. He's actually 3-0 on this year. Dia1 very successful on the Ryze. He used to be a really good champion back in the day for him too. But in this game, very quiet performance. Just consigned to mid lane, not able to make roams and dives happen. So just instinctively, I'd say not the greatest Ryze early game, because you kind of want to use the ultimate to make some fancy plays happen. And especially if you compare Ryze to Veigar, if both are just staying in lane, I think Veigar is probably happier about that than Ryze.
a lot of scaling for the Vega, and I think it's 16 games in total Dia1 has on the rise over the course of his career, and sitting at a perfect 50% win rate on the champion. Now, I've got a fun factoid here for you, Yulwei, which is something that I came across while playing a little bit of Ranked a week ago. Did you know that on Thresh, you can Q flash?
No, I didn't actually know that. No.
So, you can't. What happens is, and I swear this is what happened when I played the game, I pressed Q and flash, but I did it the wrong way around because I wanted to flash Q. I did the flash just after I pressed Q. Thresh then Q'd and proceeded to flash after throughout the Q animation, which I've never seen that interaction before. I didn't realize you could buffer a flash.
There are a few abilities that will interact like that, where you can sort of flash, but the ability is not impacted. I believe the same is true for... Is it Lux Ultimate? I don't want to just make allegations, but there are a few abilities that work.
Q flash. So
Pike Q, for example, it works the same way. You can't actually Q flash Pike, but you can Q and flash on Pike, but you can't redirect the Q from Pike over minions or something. It's just gonna connect to the minion. So it's probably all the grabs are gonna work like that, apart from Blitzcrank, whose grab, of course, is much faster.
Well, interesting factoid over. The game state, 17 minutes in, a 1,000 goal lead for the side of Team Wales. SBTC looking to bring that goal deficit down as they are diving onto Nagia in the top lane, but Nagia takes a fair chunk of damage, and actually that's not Emperor in the top lane, that is Dia1 now flashing forward as Palet and Slater make their way to the top lane. Glory as well teleporting in to provide some assistance for his top lane.
Ooh, the teleport can really hurt them on the long run, because now they can't... They could have pushed mid lane much... Oh, they are going to invest the other teleport to get back into position to push mid lane. Actually, I don't hate this. It's a lot committed for one tower, but this should snowball into the Dragon 2, and then you really have a huge advantage. Big CC chain!
And when Emperor is CC'd on the Cassante, there is not much he can do to find the outplay. Great death sentence from B. And Rift Herald will charge forward once more. Oh, the death sentence almost lands. Super Mega Death Rocket, that's the kill. And excited is Vit, the rocket will fly. And Team Wales will get a second of the fight. And down goes D&K for the third of the fight.
They will not go quietly into the night in Vietnam. They want a fifth game. They're so much more confident, so much more aggressive and assertive from the side of Wales, just going for the dice, and that combination of Sejuani Veiga looks so strong, and even adding the Thresh displacement into the Veiga cage as well. Look at this. They grab him in, and then he ends up stunned right as the CC from Death Sentence ends, because there's the Veiga cage, so perfect chaining of CC, not even fully intended, just how the spells work together. And how do you ever get away from this one? There's also, the cleanse was used in the last engagement, so Slater dies, double auto attack, ooh, flash auto from Vid, really nice display of skill and so decisive. That's exactly what we wanted to see. Wales did not get tilted from the last game, they're here to fight.
Wales now with 2 Drakes to SBTC's 1 Mountain Rift, which is going to be very nice for the likes of Killer Queen, maybe for B and Nagia as well. And Jinx 3-0-2. Once again, Vic going for this Runan's Hurricane build, just like we saw in Game 1, not going straight for an Infinity Edge or a Phantom Dancer. Wants to be able to throw out as many rockets in a team fight as possible.
Yeah, if you look at the enemy team, a lot of melee or short-range champions, so it makes a lot of sense. And in general, it's a very good item on the Jinx anyway. A lot of people just go with no matter what the opponent's team is comprised of. So it makes a lot of sense here. Vid with a very good performance, 3-0. He was supposed to be the weak point of Wales, and some of the games, especially the last game, they got stomped in bot lane. But when he's put on Jinx on those safe hyper carries, he can provide the teamfight damage. Maybe he's not your Shogun who's going to dominate lane together with his support, but you don't need him to do that. He's not on this team to do that. You have Glory to win lane, you have Nagia to win lane. If he can just provide the late game insurance of a good ADC and team fights, that's all you can ever hope for.
So, Game 5. Jinx gets banned. What does Vit then play? What is a scaling big ADC that Vit can play?
I think we're going to let the analysts muse about that one, because they want to have something to think about too. Because the game is not yet over. Yes, it's a big advantage for Wales, and they've looked like the better team. But Wales has also had the odd overstep here or there, especially in this series. In game number 2, their macro kind of collapsed when it came to the mid-game. Think about the Baron call. So it's not over yet.
It's not over until the fat lady sings, and Vit is not quite fat enough just yet on this jinx. 7 kills to 1 and a 3k goal lead for the side of Team Wales. There is a Baron, might be causing a bit of PTSD for Killer Queen and the rest of the Wales crew, but they aren't going to look to it just yet. 2.5 minutes until the next Drake, which will be soul point for Team Wales. Engage coming through from DNK, but Killer Queen has a very nice lantern that he can take out to safety, but he's just making sure. He wanted to get Slader's ultimate out. That's all that Killer Queen was doing there.
God, I think I would hate playing with this player. My God, he's cutting it close. He is.
It's like playing with me, Yulway, isn't it?
Walking on the edge is my. Oh, yo. That lantern was 1 millisecond away from despawning. Then Killer Queen is in a really odd position there. But he gets
calculated, Yulway. Calculated.
Yeah, sure. He just counted the lantern on the ground. He, with the early warm-ups, he gets back to full HP, and he engages right on Slater.
Glacial Prison will not land, and Killer Queen cannot take the lantern out to safety. From the side comes DNK, finds the engage, and that's a shutdown picked up by Dia 1. But Vit is free firing. This Jinx is big. This Jinx is excited. Looking for more. Emperor into the backline. It's a double kill for the Rise, but Vic cannot kite back from the Emperor. A shutdown for the SBTC top laner, and SBTC want more. A double kill. Emperor flashes out of the tower range, but into the Vega cage goes both Emperor and Dear One, but they're still alive. How is that fair gameplay? Glory flashes forward. He can't find an avenue to find a kill. Slater walks right through the event horizon and pierces Glory and pierces Team Wales' hope of victory.
Both of these teams playing lights out League of Legends. What happened in that big break? They got revitalized by their snacks in between or something. What amazing play back-to-back. Killer Queen. This is the problem when you build Warmogs. Yes, you have a lot of HP. Yes, you're good against poke, but you're not very tanky, especially not against high DPS champions like Rice. He's just cutting through that Sejuani in no time whatsoever, and it's a bit too scattered from the side of Wales. They can't really focus their attention, especially with Enper diving onto all of them and buying so much time, and then splitting the fight up again. Perfect K'Sante play. So nice how he utilizes both forms of K'Sante, the full tank, just to buy time and be a frontline, and then once he recognizes, okay, I can actually go to the side and play a little bit of 1v1, a little bit of Vayne play style, and just go for the skirmishes.
Oh, you've got to find out, Baron. There's more fighting happening. The box has been dropped down. I don't know what's going on, but I know that SBTC are winning the fight. They'll take the Baron as well. Is this game 2 all over again? And for a second, I thought Vit with a zap might be able to recreate Slater's performance. But SBTC, over the course of a few minutes, have overturned a 2k gold deficit and are now 2,000 gold ahead.
Wales did not watch our broadcast. Wales, for the next time, for tomorrow, just put someone into the Twitch chat here. We gave you all you needed to know. Don't throw at Baron. It happened again into Emper. You can't do this into Maokai and K'Sante. Look at them. They another 3-man knockback for K'Sante. 2 in back-to-back games. That's not supposed to happen. This is not Gragas Barrel. This is not an ability that's supposed to hit 3 people. And what a performance. What a turnaround from SBTC. I think you jinxed them with talk about Game 5 too early.
Yeah, well, in that case, I'll do them a favor. There is no way this is going to Game 5. SBTC have cleaned this game up. And what a performance it has been from Emper. Team Wales tried to shut him out of lane, but they cannot shut him out of the game. He's finding these incredible plays out of absolutely nothing.
Oh yeah, Emper is playing out of his mind on this K'Sante. He got baited early on in the lane, lost his life, almost couldn't have done anything differently there. That was just a genius play from the side of Nagia, set up to perfection. And ever since, he has dominated lane, he has pushed Nagia back, even in CS, and his teamfight impact is not even comparable. You have Nagia who's barely doing anything, and then Emper dominating front to back, both playing the tank and the bruiser better than Nagia.
Right. Try not to get carried away challenge in effect. Vit, still 3 items. Still very, very big on this Jinx. And if Team Wells can find a decent setup for a fight where Vit is able to get a kill, find that first kill, get excited, Team Wells are still very, very scary to deal with.
Yeah, he has to be on his best behavior, though, because this is actually one of those comps that reminds... Oh, Nagia is going in. That is risky.
Again, the Glacial Prison misses from Killer Queen. Killer Queen just gets burnt down, as you mentioned. That Warmog's armor does not provide tankiness. It just allows small skirmishes. And Team Wells lose yet another member. They lose yet another tower.
Try not to engage challenge, also absolutely impossible for all VCS teams but GAM. But now it's SBTC on the engage train, and maybe they found Emper.
Really nice death sentence. The Wild Growth comes through, but that is a shutdown for Vit. And what can Vit do here? There is no tower to protect him to aggress any further.
The TP?
But a teleport flank from Nagia flashes forward. 2 members lock down the event horizon. Is beautiful from Glory. It's a shutdown for Team Wales, and SBTC are forced to run with their tail between their legs.
And this game is just back-to-back. Full commitment, absolutely unleashed on both sides, just insta-flash commitments, just summoner spells, they need to be on cooldown. If a summoner spell is not on cooldown, you have done something wrong in the last fight, apparently. And Team Wales strike back yet again. Vit, yes, he's a threat, but this one was Nagia, redeeming himself after getting thoroughly outperformed, but then also Glory finding that amazing cage angle, just the perfect way to stun both of his target with a Flash E. Yeah, there's still a lot of fight left in both of these teams.
You just had to go and praise Nagia, didn't you, your way? He gets picked off a camera, and the kill goes away of SBTC. Baron in 2 minutes, Drake in 2 minutes, both teams on 2 Drakes, less than 1,000 goals separating them. What a game we have. It's skirmishy, it's feisty, it's spicy, it's everything we could possibly want.
Ooh, Killer Queen gets over the wall, but I think he's
Killer
fine.
Queen, that is one way to pull DNK into the frying pan, and fry DNK is a little bit of tree for supper.
Nice little kill. Another one going over to Vit. Oh, now Enper needs to be careful, but he's so tanky.
P, can you calm down with these death sentences? They are absolutely ridiculous, but then Emper just pops right off, pulls Killer Queen out of the fight, and SBTC find themselves with another kill.
Look at Dia1 dancing on the edges of that cage on a low-range champion like Rice. He's on top of his mechanics too. What a movement there from the side of Dia1. Emper.
Oh,
big shield.
Tries to go in, but the Wild Growth, it keeps Emperor alive. Can't get to the lantern. Good death sentence onto Dia1, but the Rise is just too tanky. And SBTC and Team Wales dancing on the brink of death, but Emper just has this death dance played out beautifully.
And we're doing it all here. It's crazy calls, it's back and forth, it's movement diff, it's hand diff, everything happening in one game, and it's still so close. Yes, SBTC are in a better position, but as you pointed out earlier, there's still a Jinx on 3.5 items, close to 4 items now. There's still a Veigar infinitely scaling into territory where you can maybe even one-shot someone like Dia1. But it's not the easiest game to play for them either, as there's so much individual CC and playmaking on all the champions of SBTC. They might be lower ranged, but they all have CC, they all have dive, they all have some tools to reposition themselves. So both Vit and Glory need to be on their absolute best behavior to not die instantly to some of these attacks.
That Emper, the all-out and Topo strike to pull Killer Queen out of the range, and then this. If Nagia had just gone in a bit earlier, maybe they could have got a kill. But in the end, it was another kill for the side of SBTC. Honestly, Yulwei, I can't predict which way this game is going. I want to say SBTC, but it's just so crazy. You could see any fight going any way, and who knows? Maybe if Killer Queen can land some of his ultimates, they can win some more fights.
So I define it like this. Team Wales' composition is easier to play, but SBTC is playing better right now. Killer Queen misses yet another ultimate.
Someone keep a counter on one side of the screen. Be engaged on forced to flash away, not tanky enough on the Thresh. And Emperor flashes forward with a killer instinct in his eyes.
The Emperor is not letting them have a chance. And that is such a nice play. Oh, a little bit misplaced, but still on top of the Baron, much faster than the enemy team can react. And this Baron is going down. That's Rice. Yeah, that's Baron gone.
I was going to say, Killer Queen, it's your time to step up, but he's going to get nowhere close to the Baron. Asher, Emperor locked down in the event horizon. Can't aggress any further. We also missed off-screen SBTC picking up their third Drake of the game onto Mountain Soul Point. And we said that Team Wales were able to, mentally bounce back from Game 3. I think right now they're going to have to do some mental gymnastics to pull themselves back into this game, because it felt like this game was in their control and it has just been slowly slipping away from them. Vit now on 4 items, Infinity Edge completed. He surely has to be the win condition for Team Wales.
So the thing is, in this game, you look at the composition for Team Wales, you think, wow, their late game power is insane. And yes, that's true. Their late game team fighting can be absolutely incredible with these champions. But it is not an easy game to play team fights in, because you have to be insanely crisp and very, very decisive in your target calling. Not something you talk about very often. But in this game, there are so many tools in the enemy team. They have so many weird little things on their champions, like the Twisted Advance being invulnerable. Then also Emperor repositioning across multiple angles in one fight. We have Dia1 dancing around the edges and then having so much movement speed, but also being so tanky. And the Varus is just shooting from afar. So I think Team Wales' composition should win team fights if played to perfection. But it's not easy to do. You need to be so crisp on your target calling.
One good thing that Team Wales have is they've got really good wave clear, which makes it a bit harder for SBTC to siege, just because Vit, again, picked up that Runelance Hurricane, which is going to come in so big to getting rid of these waves that SBTC are going to throw towards the Team Wales inhibitor towers. Nagi is still very weak, so it has a lot of scaling potential. Has picked up I think it's the half-bound axe as he looks for his third item, and maybe he can be a menace in the side lane. Nature's Grasp now being used. SBTC looking for the play on to Killer Queen. Polymorph, but down goes the inhibitor tower. Event Horizon drop down. Emperor taking a lot of damage as SBTC just unload as much damage as they can onto the inhibitor. Won't be able to do it though. What can Killer Queen do? Can he find an engaged death sentence narrowly wide as Dia1 just dances around the skill shots of Team Wales?
Milky. We need to comment on that. That was a 1.2k crit across the whole team from Dia1. If this Rice is allowed to attack, you will die very quickly. Your whole team will evaporate. Yes, he's low range, and maybe you can lock him down with his CC, or the enemy team just engages.
Glacial Prism lands, and that's going to be 1 kill for Team Wales. Eyes on Vit. What can he do on this Jinx? The rockets are flying. He's looking for one more. Killer Queen jumping forward. Glory locked down and can't follow up on the play. Just the 1 kill for Team Wales. They keep their bottom lane inhibitor alive. But you are seeing just glimpses of hope for Team Wales to getting back into this game.
If SBTC overstep, it's really easy to punish from Wales as well. They have a really, really good DPS between their two carries. If they stay alive the first few initial seconds of the fight, then Vit will get excited. Glory will be able to get W after W onto the targets, and some of them will hit. At this point of the game, it's something like a 1.5 second cooldown on that ability, and ridiculous damage. It's more than a 1 AP scaling. So Glory, he went for the safety route in terms of items, which makes him even harder to dive on and kill. And now, even though his damage was pretty low compared to other Vigors at this stage of the game, he's now on 4 items. So he might not be the strongest Vigor of all time, but he's still gonna hurt. And all of the enemy team is gonna take punishment from this Vigor, even the tanks.
15 seconds until Drake. Soul Point for SBTC. How critical is it that Team Wales deny this Drake away from the chickens?
Giving over that extra HP to work with those extra resistances is so scary. Look at Maokai, he's been scaling into a full-blown tank as well, and that's yet another thing you have to worry about.
It's gone.
So close.
For a second, I thought maybe it would get stolen away as SBTC moved towards the bottom side of the map, but Mountain Soul secured for SE. And Team Wales are now going to have to deal with even tankier members. They've been struggling to find first kills of a fight already, and it will be so much more difficult, and Team Wales can't even look for an angle at Baron. Maybe they just look for Death Brush. Maybe they just look to try to find an unlucky member of SBTC and find a pick.
And this pushes the threshold to kill and activate Vid to carry the fights a few more seconds into the future, right? Maybe you need half a second more now to kill someone like DNK if he overextends.
Oh.
That could make the difference.
How long do they wait here, your way?
They need to be careful not to lose all of their inhibitors by overstaying here. They don't have Baron recalls.
Oh.
They're calling off the play. Or are they?
Slater, you clever little girl. To quote a bit of Jurassic Park, Team Wales snuffed out, forced to back away, and SBTC can breathe a little sigh of relief. If any of the members thought, maybe I'll walk this way, now they'll be really thanking their lucky stars that they didn't.
Now, there's not much Team Wales can do to wrestle back control in the map. They have so far pushed into their own territory. Baron is going to be hard because there's always the Rise potential. If the enemy team pushes you into your own base and then just uses Rise ult again on the Baron, there's nothing you can do. They're just too fast at taking that objective. So Wales needs to be really, really aware of where to position and not to get into a fight, not to get pushed into their own base a bit too much. Like this from Killer Queen, just sussing out where the enemy team is going. But any engage could be the last one of the series.
Stopwatch claimed by Vit, a bit of extra protection for the hyper carry of Team Wales. But we've seen how big Dia 1 has been, and Dia 1 has been dancing with death this entire game. Baron already down to half health, and Team Wales are going to try to take the fight. 5v3. SBTC are kiting back a lantern given, which will pull Killer Queen out, but the Baron has already been secured. And now SBTC look to turn the fight. It's SBTC who won the engage, and Emperor is popping off as per usual. Nagia on the back foot. It has been able to find one kill. And then
what's going on?
Over the wall goes Dia 1. Great death sentence, but no more team members for B. And it is all Dia 1 with the damage. SBTC win the fight, and SBTC will surely take the series.
And at the end, it's Dia 1 getting back to playoffs after such a long time, after such a long drought, being banned. He being hyped up as the best player in the VCS in 2020, rightfully so, but never winning his title. It might be his time now. He is gonna have another go at Carti. The legendary mid lane matchup next week in the winners final is gonna be Dia 1 against Carti. And what a stamp of authority on those